Well, hello everyone. Good morning and welcome to Life Coach Access, your daily access with professional certified life coaches brought to you by Life Coach Philippines. Life Coach Philippines is a community or our community of professional life coaches certified by the Global Institute for Coaches and Entrepreneur, a bona fide institute for mental health that's based in Dallas, Texas, USA. And Life Coaching Access is our service to our community, and we aim to help individuals experience the process of transformation through the platform of life coaching. If you want to know more about our international coaching classes, our services, please connect with Coach Rosel through 0917-586-1661, or you can send her a private message for assistance. I am Coach Shaun for Inner Game, bringing out the in me. Knowing thyself is the beginning of wisdom. If you want to be more confident, you want to be able to do more in your life. The more you know about yourself, the more intentional you would be with your decisions, the decisions that you make, plus the relationship that you want to create as well. And your daily access with me is every Friday at 10 a.m. Thank you very much for being here. And my segment today, I'm going to talk about the discipline of men in relationship. And this week we're going to talk about marriage. Last week we talked about purity. So if you want to, go back to our first episode for this month, especially it's the love month, I talked about purity last week. So just check out Life Coach Philippines and check the video. And let's learn more about the discipline, how you discipline yourself for you to have a joyful, a more meaningful, a more fulfilling life, and especially in your marriage and being as a dad as well, if that is something that you want to do and it's something that you want to level up. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please tag your friends or in the comment section below and invite them to join us as well. I would love to have a conversation with you. Let's do an engagement online and have a conversation. You may also share this FB Live to your timelines, to your FB group, to your pages, so that we can reach more people in the digital space and let's transform more lives. Let's have those men out there join me in this segment. All right. So be intentional. If you watch our life coach access for the last couple of months, you always would say, hear us speak about being intentional and putting in your hashtag pack your bag moment. And the intention here is to really be a blessing to other people as well, because that I think that's the greatest thing that we can do to others. When we start blessing other people, we start blessing the digital space. We start giving more of our learnings in there. Other people would also learn in the process. So let's do that. Let's give some energy, some light into the digital space, and just enjoy and get your hashtag pack your bag moments. Just get one thought, just get one takeaway from this talk, and share that in your page or your timeline. All right. For if this is the first time you're joining me, if this is first time you're watching me, let me introduce myself. I am Coach Shaun. I'm a professional life coach certified from the Global Institute for Coaches and Entrepreneur, and I'm also a mental health coach. And our institute is based in Dallas, Texas, USA. And one of my strengths is humor. So I love to make people laugh and tease them. I want to be able to help people take a look at the brighter, the lighter side of life. At times we can be so serious with our life that we tend to forget to enjoy the beauty of life. And I like making jokes. And you will not laugh at my jokes. Do it laugh at me because I don't look like the typical joker, di ba? Mukhang seryoso, pero that's really who I am. And I've been doing this coaching profession full time since I left the corporate world back in 2019. After 14 years of successful career in the call center industry, which landed me a workforce director role there. So if you want to learn more about what I do in the call center space, well, that's what I do. Just connect with me anytime in my personal page, or you can connect me as well in my page or my timeline. Yeah, just personal there. And I'm on a mission. My mission, and I choose to accept it, is to help 1 million successful men to live in fidelity, who are longing to move from wandering to wandering. They, if you know someone who's moving from places to places or unsure of what to do in life, of unsure of what life is really all about. And I want to help those men. I've been in that space as well, where I started to wander from places to places, from relationship to relationship. And it's so tiring. You know, it's so tiring, but you're trying to fill in a gap in your heart and you can't seem to find it. I'm fortunate enough right now to be able to find that, and I want to be able to help you if you're someone who are in that state right now, or if you're someone who's just new in your marriage, you know, or you're making a decision to get married, and if you want to find out, if you want to not make the same mistake as most of the people, men in marriage have gone through, then join me. Be more purposeful in your life. Be more Find more meaning in what you're doing, and live a life without guilt, because guilt is the one that's hindering us from being the best version of ourselves, being the version who likes just to enjoy, the kid in us. Yun ang nawawala. That's something that is missing. And if you are that person, if you know that person that um, I've shared, you know, tell them that I'm here. I'm here to support them. I'm here to create a tribe for them so that they can freely express themselves without any judgment, or without, rejecting their feelings and, their emotions. All right. So from last week, let's talk about last week. I talk about the discipline of purity. I talk about 7 ways for you to how to be a discipline. We talk about purity. I talk about holding yourself accountable. You need to pray. You need to memorize some of the scriptures for you to be able to connect with Him. We need to continuously renew our mind. By you watching here right now is a renewing of the mind. Put a hedge around you, putting some boundaries up there, making sure that you don't do anything you're gonna regret in the future, and being the real and authentic with yourself, because that's something that's missing right now, right? Being authentic with ourselves. We know we want to be doing more, but we can't do more because of expectations of society, expectations of other people, or also at times we beat ourselves too much with what we do, right? And lastly, be aware of your desires, because when you are clear of your desires and you zoom out of the bodily desires, you focus on your spiritual desire. That just creates a more meaningful and fulfilling life, because your path is moving towards creating fulfilling your mission and living your purpose. So that was last week. So if you want to watch that segment of mine, just go through last week's video in Life Coach Access. All right. So today we're gonna talk about the discipline of men in marriage. Now, as men, we always want to be responsible in our marriage, diba? Hindi naman tayo nag-asawa just for the sake of playing around. I don't think there's one man out there who got married and thought that they're gonna ruin it in the future. What they want is to be in a space where they're loved, they're accepted, to be in a space that they can be themselves. But along the way, there's a lot of things that's happened in your life. There's a lot of demands. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of bunch of things that's just not creating the ideal scenario for marriage, di ba? At most often, yung ideal scenario natin when we go into marriage, dapat pare-parehas kayo. You have the same Lord, you have the same family, you have the same children, you have the same future, and eventually you have the same ultimate destiny. Di ba? Pero sabi ko nga, what I help are the people who don't have the same Lord, who don't have the same family, who don't have the same children, who don't have the same future, and don't have the same destiny, because that is when really relationship or marriage starts to crumble, when both the husband and the wife are not in unison, they're not in synchronicity, they're not in a space of really being in one. 'Di ba marriage is unity, 'di ba? And if you're in unity, sabi nga sa Ephesians 5 verse 31 in the Bible, the two will become one flesh. That's when you unite a man and a woman, especially if the man already leaves the father and the mother to be united with his wife. So that is something that we need to do. And what I'm going to teach you today is, start really learning about what are the things, the disciplines that you need to put in your marriage, especially as the man of the house. You are the leader of the family. You are tayo nga yung ano, no, first community, di ba? In everything is a family, the unit of in a family, and that is something that I want to teach you. I want to be able to instill that in you, so you would be able to practice. Now, there are some who's watching who's not obviously a man. maybe you have a spouse, maybe you're looking for a man in the future who would want to be disciplined in your marriage. This is something that you can, put that in your toolkits or toolbox. Eventually, when you meet someone, you make a decision to move forward. This is something that you can start sharing with that guy that, has ano ng puso mo, 'di ba? Na-carry yung puso mo. 'Di ba yung mga single diyan, kaway-kaway tayo for those single out there. So before I start, I would just to acknowledge everyone who's joining me. Coach Tin, my better half, is there. Maraming salamat. Master Coach Jasmine, thank you very much for joining me this morning. We have Coach Nords. Maraming salamat. Thank you for joining. Invite Leonard here. I think he's gonna appreciate this. Coach Saibal, maraming salamat. Coach Nilo, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me and learning some of the things that I went through and I'm learning in the process. And let's share more transformation in the digital space. All right. So, so I'll give you six disciplines of men. And one word for you, just to get one. Pack your bag moments, di ba? Kuha lang kayo ng isa doon. Then you can share that with others as well. So number one, I'll go straight to the point. Number one, discipline of men in marriage is commitment. O, di ba? Automatic naman yun. When you are committed, you are willing to do whatever it needs to take, whatever you need to take to make the marriage work. Yeah, yun naman yung marriage vows natin when we're on into a relationship. And what this means is we're going through many tough times. Hindi naman siya smooth sailing. It's not gonna be smooth sailing. You're gonna be in a times where you're not gonna get your way. You're gonna be at times when things are not going well, di ba? You're gonna be at times where things are going south. Minsan, akala mo, di ba, pag nag-asawa kayo, when you got married, everything is doing, you're so super fun, super happy. Then eventually, once the marriage is, the marriage vows are done, the party is done, then you start to really, take a look at or understand what your wife really is and ano yung habits niya, yung hindi mo nakikita, yung mga behaviors and what have you, and things would not go on well. And when you're going through with that, it's easy for us to, minsan, throw away the towel and would say that this is not the person that I married. This is a different person. But remember, in marriage, it's a commitment for you to work on each other. It's a commitment for you to work on the relationship and to work on with the other person to make the marriage go well. Because it's not every day that you're gonna have a time where things are going well. You would be triggered with some of the attitude, some of the responses, some of the reactions, and that is something that we need to move forward and focusing on. That commitment is sacrifice. Commitment is something that you need to sacrifice because you know that the person that you are with is someone who will help you to be successful in your life, and in your career, in any endeavors that you have. So that is commitment. Commitment is being able or willing to do whatever it takes to make it work. Hindi lang surviving ha, it means thriving in the relationship. So that is number one of the discipline in men in marriage, which is number one, commitment. All right. Number two is the discipline of man in marriage is fidelity. Yan, fidelity. Fidelity is an intentional choice that you would need to make. For men and women, lahat naman to eh. This is a mix. You can use this as well for those women who's watching. And for men specifically out there, it's an intentional choice to be in fidelity. Yeah. It's being able to be aware of how you feel. It's being aware of how you're expressing your feelings to others. Hindi lang ata others eh, specific to your wife. Like right now, how do you express yourself with your wife? Or are you being intentional about the things that you think about, the things that you feel about, the things that sometimes yung bodily needs natin, is that something that you're sharing with your spouse? It's that something that you're being honest with your spouse. At times pag lalaki tayo, when we are men, we tend to not shows too much of our emotions because as men, dapat di ba brusko, dapat macho, dapat there's no emotions being showed there. And this is something that we've carried on when we were growing up because, maybe our dad is the one who has that same posture as well. Maybe you were grown that way. Maybe your father told you that, oh, wag iiyak, bawal umiyak, hindi ka naman babae. O, may mga ganun situation. So, bawal umiyak, di ba? We're not allowed to cry when we're growing up. And that is something that's limiting us from being expressive, from being expressing our needs, our desires with our spouse. And when you're able to do that, when we're able to create that kind of environment, because as I've said, you are the leader of the house, and you can, make sure that you've set the environment for everyone to be vulnerable, and that is something that you can continue on be expressing your needs, your fantasies, the things that you look at. Maybe you're looking at someone, then medyo may type ka dun sa taong yun, di ba? You have a crush on that person. That is something that needs to be discussed with your spouse. And it needs to be openly negotiated and had a conversation for you to protect your intimate relationship, your intimate bond between your spouse and yourself. That needs to happen. It needs to continuously happen, and you need to be in a space that both of you needs to be kind to oneself and the other. Because if you're not able to do that right now, you're not in a space of fidelity that you're able to express yourself. That will be a challenge in the future. It will be a challenge. Um, Time and again, one of the biggest challenges of married couples is their inability to express themselves. Kasi there is judgment in the expression. Like, the wives would say, bakit mo naman nafe-feel yan? Di ba? The wives would start questioning the husband instead of acknowledging the feelings and emotions. So, for men out there, be in a space of fidelity and open conversation and really expressing yourself to your spouse so that your spouse understands how you feel. So that is one discipline that you need to do as a married man. All right? Number three is communication. Yan, sinabi ko to kanina, di ba? Communication is a vital way for you to connect, di ba? Communication in any relationship is like a river. Parang river lang siya. When your thoughts and feelings flow smoothly between your marriage partner, it's going to be fun. Yan. Or everything is flowing, di ba? You go into one space. Parang papunta lang kayo daw. Papunta kayo somewhere. Right? It's gonna flow. It feels good. You feel the support that you need. Everything around you is at flow. However, when communication is turbulent, the other one is thinking of this and the other one is speaking like that, and instead of you being in a space of helping each other, kumbaga may kaaway kang iba tapos hindi naman kayo nag-aaway ng mag-asawa mo, then eventually kayo na yung magkaaway. Di ba parang weirdo? Weirdo nun. Parang nag-express ka nga sa asawa mo tapos nag-aaway kayo ng mag-asawa. Na, kayo pa yung nag-aaway, imbis na sinishare yung naging kaaway niyo sa labas. And that is something that we tend to take for granted, and we feel that is something that we need to work on, but in reality that is something that we need to pay close attention with, because that communication gets blocked when there is one current there and the other is going the other way. Then eventually you have a turbulent situation, right? And everything will not be flowing well. When the words start flowing again, what happens is you tend to come out suddenly in a damaging and raging flood. Yun yung nangyayari doon. Diba have you ever experienced a feeling where nag-away kayo na kayong mag-asawa, then eventually you feel bad about it? Because you know that hindi naman dapat nangyari yun eh. Those situations was not supposed to happen in the first place. But it did. And in great relationship, couples talk freely, openly, and feel safe sharing their most private thoughts. Ito na sinasabi ko. Na you can be considerate in verbalizing your needs, concerns, and feeling when difficulty arises, and your voice, your positive thoughts when things are good. Kumbaga. And take a look at your relationship right now. Take a look at your marriage right now. Take a look at your conversation with your spouse. How do you have a conversation with your spouse? Are you someone who really listens to them to understand? Or are you the one who listens to them to respond? And how is your spouse reacting to it? Because when you're able to establish this communication, when you have this discipline of communication, the river will just flow. It will be still, and you would continuously flow and will replace it with good water. Kasi pag may barean, then nothing would happen. So that's number 3. Number four is the discipline of men in marriage is elevation. Coach, ano ba yung elevation na yan? What is that? What does that do? Well, elevation is about building up your wife. Yan. Kung yung asawa mo, you're not building your wife to be a suitable helper, that becomes a challenge. Especially for men who likes doing it alone, di ba? At times we have this mindset that hindi naman natin kailangan ng tulong, which in reality we don't. But remember, when you got married in the first place, it means that you were looking for a suitable helper to support you. And it's an important thing for you to elevate your wife. You know, remembering that your wife is someone that can support you in your journey, someone who can support you during the times that you're stressed, during the times that there are pressure, during the times that things are not going well. That is what elevation is all about. It means that you are able to complement your spouse. You're able to complement their kindness. You're able to complement their respect. You're able to, give that to them because they deserve it. And you might say, Coach, yung asawa ko madaming sinasabi kasi eh. What conversation are you having? What conversation are you having with your spouse so you come into a space that you are there to support your spouse? Hindi ka naman doon para sirain yung asawa mo. Di ba? Yun nga yung sinasabi ko, bakit pa nag-asawa ba tayo? When we got married, is it our reason to destroy the marriage? Hindi naman, di ba? We never really had that thought in the first place. When we got married, we are foreseeing a so beautiful future for our children and our life as well. And that is something that we need to remind ourselves consistently. Like, how are we currently also supporting our spouse, our wife, without the S, our wife, to be someone who, you're proud of. You're someone that you are grateful of. And your wife feels that. And it's something that they are proud of and they can, continuously support you in your journey. So, asan kayo ngayon? And if you're a wife right now, if you're a spouse, where are you at right now with that relationship? And what support do you need? So before I jump in, I would just like to acknowledge and thank Ma'am Nancy. Yon, Nancy, thank you for joining me today. Marami pong salamat. Coach Orville is also there. Thank you for joining. And if you are in a situation right now, for men out there, if you're in a situation right now where you feel that, kumbaga, hindi mo alam kung anong next na gagawin mo. You don't know how to move forward. You don't know how to move, what's the next step ahead. I would like to introduce to you this program. This is a program for men infidelity. It's helping people from wandering to wandering. It's a coaching program. And what we do here is I allow you to journey with me to find out to find out you. Because in the process of all of the things that we've done in our life, we got lost. Nawala tayo. And it's not a bad thing, by the way. There's just a lot of things, the demands, the desires that we have for us to create a better life for our family, that we lost ourselves in the process. Na we get too busy at work. Then we forget why we are doing what we're doing in the first place. And if you're able to find what makes you joyful, what makes you peaceful, what brings meaning and fulfillment in your life, you won't give up. Hindi ka lang titigil. You would continue fighting on and you would be able to move towards the lane that was created for you. Because every one of us has a lane that was created for us to complete that mission, to complete that purpose, and to live a life in the driver's seat. Hindi naman tayo pinanganak dito sa mundo just for other people to control us or even allow our emotion to control our decisions as well. So if you are in the stage right now, maybe you're feeling right now that you're losing hope. Maybe you're feeling that you want to give up. Maybe you feel that you want to throw away the towel. Parang hindi mo na kaya. I mean, let's have a conversation. Let's work on that. The future generations rely on the dads, the father out there, to help bring a better future. Kailangan ng tatay sa pamilya. And that is something that I'm talking to you if you are watching me right now, let's create that better life. Let's create a better future for our children. So that what we're experiencing right now, what our spouses are experiencing right now, the bad things, they would no longer do that in the future, or they would not no longer experience that. And that is something that I'm fighting for. That is something that I'm fighting for in men. Because there's a lot of things that's happening in our life, and we try to look for, that satisfaction. And in the end, hindi natin mahanap. We get so dissatisfied with our life. So if you are that person, send me a message. My number is in there, 0917-569-4200. Let's have a discovery session. Let me help you. Let me support you in your journey so that you would live that life that you want and you would enjoy your kids. Diba? Yun ang maganda eh. We're enjoying our kids, and we're enjoying our kids being successful in their life and also in their career. All right? So just feel free to message me. Let's have a conversation, and let's have that, let's start working on that. All right? So number 5, the discipline of men of marriage, and number 5 is the difference. And difference. What does difference mean? And difference, there is always differences in our preference. So yung wife has a different preference, the husband has a different preference, just as what you're seeing in the screen right now. There are different preferences there. Some are okay, diba? Some are seamless, some are iba-iba talaga yung preference natin. And we must be able to manage ourselves, which also the things that are pleasurable to us and not pleasurable. Kasi may times yung mga activity yung mga asawa natin na hindi naman natin gusto. Eh, yung mga hilig mag-golf mag-golf dyan, di ba? Di ba, pag lalaki, mas gusto mo nilang mag-golf kaysa kasama mo yung asawa mong mamili somewhere or kumain. But again, that is something that we need to be mindful of, because we're not always gonna be in a pleasurable state. When you get in marriage, hindi naman siya pleasurable eh. Sino ba nagsabing pa nag-asawa ka mas pleasurable siya? It's not true. Because you're being with someone that you don't know. Sabi ko nga dyan, nagpapakain ka ng taong hindi mo naman kilala. Hindi mo kaano-ano. That is the truth. So how do you do that? How do you make these differences seamless? Di ba yung differences nyo, pag nag-start pa lang kayo, eto pa yung tides eh. Madami masyadong magulo, madaming ganap. Then eventually you move towards this path na medyo nagsasubside na, nagkakakilala na tayo. And it goes on to this side where everything is seamless. But most often than not, what happens is we move towards these two lang. We switch between these two. Okay siya, you know that there is something that's unresolved issues between you and your spouse, and you're not, putting that elephant in the room, having that conversation, and eventually it goes to a rough seas. Then everything boils down left and right. Then you got into a fight. Then you say something bad. You go into guilt mode. Then eventually you start beating yourself. So that is what a difference means when you put discipline in your differences. Because you will have, as a man, you will have triggers of your wife's needs and wants. That's a reality. But the question is, how are you currently valuing that? How is that something that you're, being mindful of, that you're cherishing of, that you're thankful of for your wife is like that? Hindi ko sinasabi yung masasama, sinasabi ko lang yung mga gusto ng mga asawa natin. Diba? Ng asawa natin. And that is something that we tend to forget. Minsan, di ba, pag dinayaya tayo ng asawa mo, ikaw na lang, dito lang ako sa bahay, or may meeting kasi ako, or may gagawin ako activities. And rather than appreciating that there's some of the differences that you have, and you would be able to understand your spouse more. So what do you do with that currently? The differences that you have with your spouse, how do you utilize it? How do you utilize it to your advantage? So that you get to enjoy it rather than dread it. Parang ito na naman tayo. Ganito na naman mangyayari. What do you do? Alright? And lastly, the last discipline of men in marriage is, of course, one of the most crucial, if you ask me, is the time or the romance. Why is it important? Why is it important? We came into a space where everyone is busy with work, 'di ba? Pre-COVID. Everyone is busy. Everyone is complaining that they don't have time with their spouse. They don't have time with their kids. They don't have time to take care of their house. They don't have time to clean their cars. They don't have time to take care of themselves. Then suddenly, a change. You've been given an opportunity to spend more time with your wife, to spend more time with your kids, to spend more time at your house, enjoying it. Then again, we complain. We complain that there's so much time in there. And you get triggered, things don't go out well. Imagine mo if you have been working for a decade in an office space, then suddenly you go home, you see your wife's, what she's doing, she sees you see your kids, you get triggered. Akala mo yung mga anak mo okay, pero hindi pala sila okay. Akala mo yung asawa mo okay, pero hindi pala okay. Akala mo okay ka, pero hindi ka din pala okay. And those are things that we don't appreciate. We don't put light into it. We just take things for granted. There was a research, a study in Psychology Today. They did a survey. This was back in 1986. About 300 couples, asking them what keeps them together. Yan. Ito yung survey. And one of the major staying factors was the time spent together. Yan, the time spent together. Yan. I would give you a challenge right now. Yeah. But thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, for being here. Be on the driver's seat. Yes, we need to be on the driver's seat. As men, we need to be on the driver's seat. And that just doesn't mean that you wanna go road raging. No, hindi naman. Being on the driver's seat means that you are clear on your path, that you would go there whatever happens. Um, Nancy said, time to reconnect and restore and let the fire of love rekindle. Absolutely, absolutely. That is something that needs to be done. Kaya lang kasi challenge eh. Because of our irritations with our spouse, and instead of us working on that, we tend to keep that to ourselves. We tend to hide it. So walang nangyayari. So here's my challenge. Open up your cell phone. Get your phone. If you have your phone with me, or if you're in your laptop with you right now, open your calendar. And I want for you to take a look at your calendar. Take a look at it for the whole week. Hopefully you're doing that. Well, trust me, just trust the process. Open your calendar. Take a look at your calendar. For those, may boyfriend, girlfriend pwede to, or may asawa ka. And take a look at your calendar and see if you schedule a wife time there. Nag-i-schedule ka ba? Oras para sa asawa. If you don't have it there, that is how you prioritize your spouse. Kung wala siya dyan sa calendar. Maybe you would say, Coach, lagi naman kami nagkikita. We always see ourselves, each other. Every morning when I wake up, I look at to my left, I see her. I look at to my right, well, depends kung asan natutulog yung asawa mo. You see. Yeah, nakikita mo. But do you talk about intimate conversations? Diba? Do you have intimate conversations? Are you intentional of the kind of conversations that you're having with your spouse? And understanding ano yung needs nila, ano yung wants nila, ano yung mga iniisip nila sa buhay, meron ba silang gustong gawin sa buhay, do they have dreams, do they have goals? Kasi iniisip natin pag mag-asawa, dapat hindi ka na pwede mag-isip ng dreams, ng sarili mong dreams, di ba? You would think na dapat sa pamilya na. I don't think so. I think that's the reason why a lot of marriage gets ruined, because the individual is not being given an opportunity to do their own dreams, to work on their own dreams. And you partnering together and working on that. That is the challenge. So for men out there, one of the disciplines that you need to reinforce at your home so that your children would mirror you, because that is what parenting is all about. It's about mirroring, is to make sure that you allocate time for romance, for conversation with your spouse. Intentional conversation. Hindi lang yung mga surface conversations dyan na, anong pagkain bukas? Mag-grocery ba tayo, mamamalengke? O yung bata, kumusta? No. Deep conversations. Because those are the most valuable things in your relationship. And that also makes sure that you are living in fidelity. Hindi yung nagpapilandering, hindi. Infidelity, you're faithful to your wife. You're faithful to the relationship. And you're continuously fighting for the relationship that matters for the future generation. Para sa future generation yung ginagawa natin. And if we want to change that, we need to change ourselves first. Because we cannot change other people, but we can change ourselves. So I leave you with this reflection question for you to start pounding on it. And then when you're ready, just message me. Let's have a conversation. Let me help you process it with you. You don't need to pay anything. Let me just support you. Number one is, do you generally feel that your wife is feeling her joys and sorrow, her mountains and peaks and deep valleys? As a man, do you feel that? Do you feel when she's joyful? Do you feel when she's sorrowful? Do you feel when her energy is up or down? Are you mindful of that? And if you are mindful of, you're starting to be mindful, what can you do to let her know that you want to connect with her emotionally? Sabi ko nga, ito yung challenge sa mga lalaki, kalalakihan. That it's a challenge to connect emotionally, especially if you have not been taught by your dad how to be connecting with men, having an emotional connection with women from a man perspective. Like ako, I don't have that kind of image. When I was growing up, my dad was working here in Manila. I was in the province. So my memory of a man being emotionally connected is zero. None. And I continue to work on that when I got certified as a life coach, when I got a coach, a personal growth coach, who helps me understand kung bakit ganun ako mag-react. Because it's so challenging to be emotionally connected. I tell you, so challenging. But it is possible. Kaya siya. It's not easy, but if you have a coach with you, helping you, partnering with you, allowing you to express yourself, allowing you to journey, allowing you to realize a lot of things, it just makes everything so seamless. And lastly, how can you connect with her spiritually? Spirituality, I'm not talking about religion here. I'm talking about you being relevant in this world. You know, that someone who has a mission, someone who has a purpose. Because your spouse, your wife, also has a purpose. So how are you connecting with them, with her, and how are you connected with yourself too? Because when you're emotionally connected and spiritually connected with yourself, then you have more clarity on how you can support your spouse. Kasi kailangan natin i-uplift yung asawa natin. Because if you want to get supported by your spouse, then you need to support your spouse too. Hindi lang siya one way, it's two way. That's how marriage works. And if you want to level up your discipline in marriage, these are the 6 things that you need to start practicing. When you're ready to have a conversation with me, let me know. Let's start working on that. Let's start a life of wonder. Let's start to think about the dreams that we have. Let's start to focus on the goals that we have. And let's start living the life that we have. Live the life that was created for us. Not just for ourselves also, but for our kids and for our spouse. That's what we can do. All right? So next week, I'm going to talk about fatherhood, the discipline of men in the relationship with fatherhood. I think a lot of men need this. Hindi lang to para dun sa mga single, sa mga asawa. For those single men who's planning to have to have kids or is having kids soon, watch this, share this to them. Let's help them. Let's journey with them. Tulungan natin sila kung paano gawin ng tama yung pagiging tatay. And I'm not saying that your parents didn't guide you well. I'm not saying that. I mean, they've guided us, but they don't know better. Kasi natutunan din naman nila. And you investing your time with me watching this is a level up for you. So I'm super, super thankful for you watching this. For those who are interested to become certified life coach, maybe you're someone who's have been watching my segment for the last couple of months, and you're thinking how you can start living by design, sabi nga ni Master Coach Mix, and not by default. I would like to invite you to join us in the profession. We need a lot of men in the life coaching profession. We need to have a lot of men who are emotionally connected and spiritually connected so that we can start helping the future generation. Because everyone looks for a father figure. And my question to you as a man, are you someone who feels that you are in the peak of being a dad or a father, that you want your children to follow? If you're still working on that, if you want to fast track that, join us in the International Life Coach Certification. Um, can you monetize this? Of course you can. You can monetize it. But if you want to start, rebuilding healing, you want to start being a better version of yourself, join us in the coaching profession. It's going to be on February 19 and 25, malapit na. And it's going to be with Master Coach Lakendra Smalley, which is the founder and the CEO of the Institute, and also Master Coach A, which is the global partner of the global expansion. And if you are someone who has the heart for mental health, maybe you need that in your workspace. Especially there's a lot of people right now who's undergoing some challenges with their mental health, their environment, their ecosystem. Maybe you're sending people to different places and they need support in the way they think, the way they feel, and the way they act. Grab this certification. You're gonna help transform a lot of lives, especially if you're working with a lot of men. This one would help you. So just connect with Coach Rizal, 0917-586-1661. If you have more questions about the certification and how it will help you, as how it helped me, let me know. Just feel free to message me. All right? So thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for the time. This topic is close to my heart because it's something that I've experienced along my journey. And I wanted to share it to you. I wanted to share my learnings to you because as men, yun ang kailangan natin eh. We need to start being vulnerable. We need to start expressing ourselves. Because when we start doing that little by little, we would be able to connect with our spouse and our children more. And we would appreciate life more. Na hindi kailangan magtago. Hindi kailangan maging hindi authentic sa sarili at sa ibang tao. Alright? So if you have any questions, just email me, coachshaundihoy@gmail.com. Or if you are in the Pasig City area, if you want to go to our coffee shop, it's Decaf Coffee Republic. It's inside Pioneer Center compound along Pioneer Road, corner Brixton and United Streets, Capitolio, Pasig City. Doon lang siya, kaharap ng Bayanihan Center. Just visit us. It's open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Go there, talk to the coaches in there if you want to. Or if not, just send me a message. All right? So as we end today's episode, let me invite you again to visit our coaching hub. It's inside the Pioneer Center compound. Yan po yung address dyan. Our coaching hub, it's open 24, it's open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Pero yung online operations natin, the virtual operation, it's open in 24 hours. All right? Just connect with Coach Rizal at 0917 586, 0917-586-1661. That's it for me. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you again next time. Love, bam, boom. Love, bam, boom. See you. Bye-bye.